twice. You were such a Boise, catching all the lights. Just easy as ABC, that's how we make it right. The D-A-N-C-E, straight to the B-E-A-T. Just easy as ABC, do the dance. The way you move is a mystery.
I'm so glad you all could be here, and I'm so glad I could be here. So the viral video that I made by accident when I quit Microsoft with the song sounds really controversial. Actually wasn't. It was me singing this really nerdy goodbye song to my coworkers. But what I underestimated was the power of a headline. Microsoft employee quits with song. Automatically sounds controversial, and reporters started to write about it as if it was an FU song. So TechCrunch picked it up, and they wrote this headline. Now, I left Microsoft to join a startup called Exec, okay? So the name of the startup that I joined was Exec. And I got to see firsthand how news spreads and how headlines get twisted. And this was back in 2012, before I knew anything about fake news. Soon, the headlines were saying, Exec sings goodbye to Microsoft. According to the internet, I was 23 years old and a Microsoft executive. So that was a viral video that I made by accident, and I saw how news spreads, and I thought it was so interesting to see how things went from one publication to the next, and things would get twisted, and reporters would sensationalize to try to get clicks. And so I thought, well, if I made that viral video by accident, I wonder if I could also make one on purpose. And so that was the dance video. Well, first, my motivation for that one was I wanted to truly learn how to dance. And as I was a few days into it, I thought, oh, I wonder if I could make a video out of this. And so I spent that year, the video certainly kept me motivated to keep dancing. And so I released this video, and I almost didn't do marketing behind it because I had poured so much of myself. You know that feeling when you've poured so much of yourself into a project, and you have so much invested, and you're just hoping that it's going to do well. And part of me didn't even want to do a bunch of marketing for this, because what if I did all the marketing and then it still flopped? But anyway, I decided to not let my ego rule that decision, and I did all the marketing. I emailed a bunch of reporters. I did everything I could think of to promote this video. It did end up going viral. It's got up to 10 million views right now on YouTube. And you've already seen that. And so I went and I continued to make these videos, dance videos, a lot of them. The videos that I've worked on now have a bunch of views, have been featured in a bunch of places. And I want to talk about a few tips that I've learned along the way, lessons from going viral. Tip number 1, so the first thing that I do before I do anything is, before I write the script, before I email any reporters, before I edit footage, before I do anything, I always write the headline first. It's the first thing I do, because from seeing how that Microsoft video spread, that Microsoft video of me singing, if you go look up that video, it's not particularly entertaining. The video itself is not what spread. The headline was what spread. That's the importance of a headline. So anytime you create a piece of content, write the headline first and then use that to craft your content, because you want your content to accurately reflect your headline so it's not clickbait. Tip number 2, understand which emotions make people share. When you are in any sort of social media feed, Think about the difference between something that you hit like on versus something that you hit share on. What is the difference? If you hit share, that piece of content probably made you feel some emotion. And there are certain emotions that spread really well, and there are emotions that don't. Emotions that spread really well. Awe, if you are in awe of something. Amusement. Anger. Emotions that don't spread well. Sadness. Anxiety. Or feeling deeply content. What is the difference between these types of emotions, right? Awe, anger, and amusement, these are high arousal emotions, and they are extroverted emotions. They are emotions that, oh, we want to tell someone about it, so the easiest thing to let go of that emotion is to hit the share button. Whereas if you are deeply sad about something, or feeling anxious, or feeling content, those are introverted emotions. Those are emotions that make you reflect, or sit in bed, and not want to yell out to the world. And so whenever you are making any piece of content that you want people to hit the share button on, try to target the emotions that get people to share. Awe, anger, and amusement. A word before I play this next video. This next video is a short clip from a video that I released called Donut Selfie. And I'm sharing it not because the video itself is particularly remarkable, but because I'm almost certain it would not have gone viral had I not done a ton of marketing behind it. So, Donut Selfie. Okay, so that's the donut selfie. What you do is you take your phone and you put it around your head like a donut. You put it on slow-mo, and then it will look like this cool matrix bullet time effect. I released this right around the time the iPhone 6 came out. And so how did I get this video to go viral? Well, for one, it wasn't about me. It wasn't about like me doing this donut selfie. It was about how other people could do the donut selfie and make them look good. And so that's a key part in how you can make content that other people are going to share. Because people don't share content because you made yourself look good. People share content if that piece of content can make them look good in some way. Can it make them look smart, clever, funny, useful? Can it make them look cool? So I made all these tutorials so other people would be able to do the donut selfie and look good, and they did. It was on Good Morning America, it was on America's Next Top Model. Someone even spent their whole wedding day doing the donut selfie. People did it all around the world. And how did it spread? Well, how did it get this many views? 48 hours after I released my donut selfie video, Cosmo wrote this article. Behold, the donut selfie, the insane new selfie trend that's going viral. When Cosmo wrote this article, only about 10 people had ever done the donut selfie. What I did was, and I didn't lie, but I got 3 of my friends to do the donut selfie, and then, so we all released our videos at the same time. And then I emailed 300 reporters. And by the way, I don't have 300 reporters in my Rolodex. I cold emailed, I Googled reporters who wrote about similar topics. I found their emails, I emailed them. And I said, hey, there's this new type of selfie that people are doing. Not false, people were doing it. So they're like, okay, great. The insane new selfie trend that's going viral. I'm like, perfect. So they are, of course, incentivized to get clicks on their articles, and so you can rely on reporters to sometimes sensationalize things for you. Now there's been fake news and everything, so maybe this advice is a little more controversial now. So a week after the donut selfie was released, I get an email from Beats by Dre, and they say, hey, Karen, we'd like to send you a pair of headphones. I'm like, okay, what would you like in exchange for the headphones? Oh, no obligation, just take them. Sure. So I get a pair of headphones delivered to me next morning. They're texting me, they're saying, Karen, did you get the headphones? I'm like, yeah, what's going on? We would like to meet with you. Okay. So I go to this bar on a Sunday afternoon, and sitting in front of me is Dr. Dre. No, I'm just kidding. No, it was not. It was not. It was someone in marketing. So he pulls up this NDA. He's like, here, sign this NDA. And I sign it, and he pulls up these storyboards with my face on them. I'm just like, what is going on? He says, we want to turn Donut Selfie into our global holiday campaign. And we are going to put the Kardashians in it. We're going to put Nicki Minaj in it. We're going to put Serena Williams in it. I'm just like, what is going on? And we're going to put you in it. And so premiering on the Thanksgiving Day football game was... So, thank you. I was in a completely different career at this time. I was doing design. I never actually made a video professionally, and so that is the power of the internet, the number of people that it can connect you to. And so I was in a totally different career, and I thought, well, hey, if my video was good enough for Beats, then I think I could maybe do it for a living. So I completely changed careers. Now I make videos for a living. I have an agency. We've had a chance to work with a bunch of incredible brands. And over the last 20 years, the internet has changed so much, has changed so many things. It's made so many careers possible that were not possible before. If you were to ask a kid 20 years ago, what do you want to be when they grow up? They will say astronaut or president. If you ask them today, they will say, I want to be an influencer. I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be a content creator. But as I have talked to more and more influencers, I have seen that a lot of them are actually in many ways deeply unhappy. We all stood up for those emotions, anxiety, feeling insecure, feeling not good enough. Everyone feels those. Those are human emotions. But I noticed that there were a few more things at play that were contributing to influencers being unhappy. And so I want to back up and talk about those. People would ask me, why do you do this? Why do you make viral videos? And I could say, it's fun, I love it. But really, I loved the attention. I wanted to feel special, and it was so validating. I released this video. Then it gets 1 million views, 2 million views, 3 million views. Oh my God, the Ellen Show is calling. Oh my God, all these articles are written about me. I'm special. See, I told you, world, I was special. And like any high, like any drug, its effectiveness eventually fades. I make a video with 10 million views, amazing. Next video I make gets 1 million views. Oh wait, all of a sudden that's not as exciting anymore? And am I losing my touch? Am I no longer able to do this? And how will I define myself then? So I've noticed that in many ways, being an influencer, there's kind of this perfect recipe that's contributing to unhappiness. And that is because by definition, your success is measured in likes. And it's only a short hop away for then your self-worth to be measured in likes, which is only a losing proposition. If you are constantly creating content, you're hustling 24/7, you're making stuff for your fans, for your followers, it can start to feel like you are on a hamster wheel for likes, performing your life instead of living it. And so yes, I can go into more of my marketing strategies, but what I really want to talk about today is one of the most important skills a content creator can have, which is not just perfecting your craft or getting amazing at marketing, but is to manage your psychology, is to figure out how you can stay sane through all of this. So I talked about the tips. Now let's talk about the traps. Psychological traps to avoid. There's many of them. I'm going to talk about 3. Trap number 1, the hamster wheel of likes. You start to measure your self-worth in likes. Catch yourself when you start to do this. Anytime you post something on Instagram or YouTube or whatever is your platform of choice, you post it. And then I know what I do. I refresh, and I see how many likes it's got, and I refresh again. Okay, and I put down my phone, and I check my phone again. How many likes has it got? Put down my phone, and I check again. Why is this so addicting? I think we all know intuitively that we should not measure our self-worth in likes, but then why do we keep doing it? Another question. How do you get a rat addicted to sugar water? You give a rat a lever to press. The rat gets some sugar water. That's not how you actually get a rat addicted, though. Make one tweak to get them addicted. Don't give them the sugar water every time they press the lever. Give it to them every 3rd time, every 10th time, every 100th time. It doesn't know. Mix it up, surprise it. Then it becomes obsessed. It will press that lever all day, hundreds of times in a row. It will literally burn its paws off, crossing an electrical grid so it can press that lever. It's that powerful. Scientists have a name for this. It's called variable rewards. In other words, unpredictability. And in fact, there's a book called Hooked for product managers that teach product managers how to design products. And it talks about this. This is how you hook your users. This is how all of our social media is designed. The difference when you post something on social media or anywhere, you may notice that the variability in the amount of likes that you can get is massive. Some things only get a few likes. Some of them can just really take off and explode. That is variable rewards. That is unpredictability. And that is what creates addiction. And that is what can cause us to care more about likes than we really need to. So the first step to breaking addiction is being aware of what's happening, is noticing when you feel this way, and being aware that you are being influenced to care more about likes than you really need to. Trap number 2. This is Asenna O'Neill. She is a social media influencer with over 500,000 followers. She actually became famous for quitting social media. But before she quit social media, she changed the caption on a bunch of her photos. And she changed the caption to actually reflect how she actually felt. And here's one of them. She changed the caption to say, "Not real life. I took over 100 of these in similar poses, trying to make my stomach look good. Would have hardly eaten that day. Would have yelled at my little sister to keep taking them until I was somewhat proud of this. Yep, so totally. #goals." And yet another photo taken purely to promote my 16-year-old body. This was my whole identity, and that was so limiting. Made me incredibly insecure. You have no idea. I think of all the platforms, Instagram is, for me at least, the most psychologically difficult to manage, because out of all of the platforms, Instagram rewards you not for how you think, but for how you look. And you may notice when people post things on Instagram, some of the best performing posts are selfies, right? And so if you post a bunch of things, if you post your food and your vacation and things that you find interesting or cool shots that you do, and then you post a selfie and you notice that the selfies seem to be doing the best, then you start to post more selfies. Humans are smart, we adapt. And so the trap is that you start to obsess over your appearance because the algorithm rewards it, because the algorithm is actually pushing you to push the camera to yourself. And we have done studies where we ask women to take selfies. And I don't want to hate on selfies across the board. There's a difference between posting a selfie for sending a selfie to a loved one versus posting it to social media. It's a very different experience. And I have been guilty myself of propagating this, the donut selfie. If we measure people's emotions before and after taking a selfie, after taking a selfie, women's confidence goes down, their anxiety goes up, and if you ask them if they feel more or less attractive after taking a selfie, they say they feel less attractive. And this is true, by the way, whether they release the selfie as is or whether you let them take 100 pictures, pick the best one, retouch it, Facetune it, and then post it. And so I think what's so tough about this is beauty is something that, one, the algorithm is getting us to care more about than we really need to. Two, it's not something that we really control. We certainly try to, but it's for the most part genetic. And three, it's something that only fades over time. Compare that to life skills, creativity, your talent, your passion, wisdom, skills that you can cultivate over time. Those appreciate over time, but beauty depreciates. And so if you are creating a following off of your looks, then that is a treadmill that is just going not in a direction that's going to make you happy. And so if you can create a following off of your skills or off of things that you can cultivate and build over time, that is going to be an easier path to happiness than building a following off of your looks alone. Trap number 3. There are so many things today that are on demand thanks to the smartphone. I can get a car, I can get a ride, I can get any food I want, any TV show, movie, or song I can think of, I can have immediately anywhere in the world And that is so cool that we are able to do that. But the flip side of that is what is also now possible is the ability to compare yourself to other people 24/7. Wake up in the morning, first thing you do. Last thing before you go to bed, while you're on the toilet. It's always happening. We humans have always compared ourselves to other people. It's natural, but now the temptation to do it is one button away at all times. Especially difficult if you are a content creator and you are measuring your success off of these social media metrics and you are surrounded all day, every day by them. I was talking to a friend the other day and I was like, oh yeah, I was browsing Instagram and I was just feeling kind of, not good about it. And she's like, oh, why? And I was like, I was just scrolling through all these people who had this content that had more likes and views and I was feeling kind of inadequate. And she was like, oh, I never look at the likes. I was like, really? You never look at the number of likes? And so she's in a completely different profession that has nothing to do with social media. And so when you are a content creator, you're going to be especially sensitive to it. If you don't pay attention to the likes, then that's great. I commend you. But part of why I figured out all those marketing techniques that I did was because I studied. I looked at all of the pieces of social media and YouTube and what was doing well. How many views did it get? How long ago was it posted? And now let me tease apart what made that video work. And so it's very hard not to pay attention to those likes. A lot has been studied on the psychology of happiness. It turns out humans are very bad at predicting what will make them happy. We think we will only be happy if fill in the blank, if I have a bigger house, if I achieve this business milestone, if I got married, if I was more beautiful, if I had bigger following on social media. These things do make us happy temporarily. They give us a temporary boost, and then we're back, and then we're chasing that next milestone. It was a really interesting study. It was a famous study done on lottery winners. And they followed lottery winners. Immediately after winning a lottery, people are ecstatic. They've just won a life-changing sum of money. But then researchers followed up with them 1 year later, and their happiness levels had actually returned to roughly the same level as before they won the lottery, which is kind of crazy. But here's the flip side of this, is that the same is true of paraplegics. You follow someone who has had a life-altering accident, who has caused a major disability, and you follow up with them 1 year later after that event, and their happiness levels, again, have returned to roughly the same levels as pre-accident. This is called hedonic adaptation. It is the ability for humans to adapt to major amazing circumstances or terrible circumstances. And it is not a bug, but a feature of our evolution. It means we're not going to stay still and be content, so a lion's not going to come eat us. We're going to go out and make things better for ourselves. It also means that we can tolerate incredible tragedy and incredible loss and keep going and survive as a species. So this is how we're built, but it's not really great news for our happiness because it's actively keeping us not content. So what can we do about this? Not my comic, by the way. I found it on the internet. What are ways that we can actually affect our long-term happiness and not just our short-term happiness? If more followers or a better business is not going to give you that long-term happiness, then what will? It turns out there are proven habits actually designed to affect your baseline happiness, your long-term happiness. And one of the most powerful ones is gratitude. So cheesy, I know. But if you spend time to actively reflect on the things that you have, rather than spending that time focusing on what you don't, it has been scientifically proven to be demonstrated to be one of the most effective ways to increase your baseline happiness. There's a bunch of really great habits actually in this book. If you are interested in the psychology of happiness, highly recommend this. It goes into a bunch of different habits and which ones are right for different personality types, which I think is so important. And one of the habits that I want to touch on that I think is really relevant for creators is, have you ever just gotten lost doing an activity, whether it's playing chess or cooking, or you are drawing or rock climbing, whatever it is, you just completely lose track of time. That is known as a flow state. A flow state is enjoying life in the moment. It's enjoying life itself. It's not trying to achieve some goal that you can't reach, but it's actually enjoying that moment. The more time that you are able to spend in a flow state, and the more you can design your life so you can spend more time in a flow state, the more it can positively affect your baseline happiness, your long-term happiness. This morning they're talking about why do you get into this? What is your why? What is your why for being an influencer? If you become an influencer because you want to be famous, and if you are looking for fame to define you, then you will always be searching for happiness. But if you become an influencer as a side effect of doing work that you truly enjoy, that puts you in a flow state, that is going to be an easier path to happiness. Think about how you can hone your talent and not just hone your likes. Think about how your talent fits into an industry in a way that can make money, because let's talk about money for a second. We've all got to eat, and it is a privilege to be able to do the work that you love for a living. You know that saying, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life? False. If you do what you love, you will be working 24/7. You'll never turn it off, right? But it is still a privilege to be able to do that. Think about how you can monetize your work and not just monetize your following. Monetizing your following, that's great, but if that's your only way to monetize, it's going to be very hard to get off this hamster wheel of likes. So what are the ways in which you can monetize your work? For me, I took a step back from doing the influencing, from being an influencer, quote unquote, and I do more consulting for businesses. I do client work. I happen to enjoy that. That may not be the right path for you. You need to find what fits your skills and your abilities. And I think what has really helped me was when I look at everything that I do, what gives me energy and what drains my energy, and really start to notice what kinds of activities do which, and figure out how you can design your work and your lifestyle so you're doing more of the things that give you energy and less of the things that drain. One of the best pieces of advice that I've ever gotten, which I'm going to end on, is this friend of mine who is successful and has started and exited multiple companies. He said, Karen, you need to find 5 people that you can go to for advice, whom you really trust and you really respect. And then you shouldn't take any of them too seriously. Because everyone is going to give you their advice through their lens, through their personality, through their life experiences, specifically for a moment in time. And I thought about that. And I thought about the advice that I give in my marketing talks. But the truth is, if I were to follow my exact same roadmap, every single thing that I did, but just 2 years later, none of it would have worked. The internet changes so fast. Marketing strategies on the internet change so fast. By the time advice gets to you, it may already be outdated. And there's so many amazing speakers this conference that I'm going to attend. I'm going to go to workshops, soak up all of that knowledge, but then it is up to you to experiment and to come up with your own ideas and to figure out what works for you for this moment in time. So thank you so much. Follow me on Instagram, guys, or not. Just kidding, it's okay. I will make peace with myself if you don't.